Senator Udall.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to thank you and your staff for working so hard on putting this hearing on today, and thank you for your mention in your opening. I think we all want to be responsive to an issue that frustrates many of our constituents and project developers. That is project delays. This committee is seeking solutions to accelerate and streamline important infrastructure projects in all of our states. But here's my concern. We're going down this road assuming that NEPA is the problem, without fully understanding the impacts that NEPA streamlining can have. And we are applying provisions developed for highway projects to a variety of other situations, such as the WRDA bill. A one-size-fits-all solution is not the answer. I strongly believe that NEPA reviews are often unfairly blamed for project delays. The number one concern I hear in New Mexico is about funding. That's what is holding back our infrastructure development. For over 40 years, the National Environmental Policy Act has been the foundation for sound federal decision-making. NEPA reviews ensure that environmental consequences of federal actions are fully evaluated and fully accounted for before decisions are made. That saves taxpayer funds from being wasted on destructive projects. NEPA reviews foster robust evaluations of federal activities by federal resource agencies. And perhaps most critically, NEPA makes sure that the public has a say, has a voice in decisions that affect the health, safety, and economic well-being of millions of Americans, decisions that impact the nation's treasured natural resources, provide transparency in the use of their hard-earned tax dollars. It is crucial that the public be heard. Critics of NEPA complain that the reviews are too long, too time-consuming. There's always room for improvement. But NEPA reviews also expose the true costs of ill-conceived proposals and environmentally damaging proposals. More often, NEPA leads to better projects and substantial savings for taxpayers. Last July, President Obama signed into law the Transportation Authorization Bill, MAP 21. MAP 21 provided funding for surface transportation in 2013 and 2014. It also made some significant policy changes. The goal was to improve project delivery and cut costs. Many legal experts and conservationists have expressed concern about these provisions, that they limit the time for review, that they remove the public from the process, that they endanger the environment, and that they may allow agencies responsible for projects to pressure agencies like EPA and the Fish and Wildlife Service into approvals. That can lead to litigation, more delays, and more costs. While we are looking into these issues, Congress is looking to use the streamlining reforms in MAP 21 as a template for many other projects. For example, we recently passed a Water Resources Development Act that applies these provisions to all Army Corps projects. The Energy Committee is considering similar approaches for a forestry bill and an energy infrastructure like pipelines. All told, over 30 pieces of legislation, counting both House and Senate, have been proposed, all aimed to streamline or limit environmental reviews. This is hasty, it's premature, and it may do more harm than good. These bills now under consideration would limit public input and government transparency and environmental review. NEPA guarantees that all stakeholders, which include businesses, private property owners, tribes, low-income populations, and all variety of taxpayers, have a say. They have a voice in federal decisions affecting their communities. Streamlining review of a reconstruction of an existing highway may make sense, but I'm concerned that applying these proposals much more broadly will undercut this crucial process, and that there could be profoundly dangerous repercussions for energy permitting, our freshwater supplies, for how our infrastructure is built, how public lands are managed, and how the nation responds to climate change, one of the critical issues of our century. So again, Madam Chair, I know we are looking for solutions, and I'm hopeful that we can work together to find them. We must take the time to understand the impacts of these proposals and craft the kind of solutions that will truly increase efficiencies and promote smarter projects. And so I hope that's what this hearing is, a beginning at looking at that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And since we're all quoting our dads here, I think my dad used to say, get it done, but get it done right. And I think the important thing here is sometimes it takes a good, solid, collaborative effort to get it done right, and sometimes that takes a little bit of time. And I think all of you should be congratulated on the working in a collaborative way to try to meet deadlines. But I think the other thing that I'm hearing is the timelines with penalties that cannot be altered force you to know, and that we don't want to see that. We want to see the collaboration continue, and I think that's very important. Ms. Sutley, can you tell me how often projects are delayed because of environmental review as opposed to those delayed because of funding shortfalls?
Based on the work that we've seen in our experience, that in most cases the reason that projects are delayed are not related to NEPA specifically, but more related to issues around project funding, project complexity, changes in project scope, and other things, as well as that many projects require review at the state and local level as well.
And if shortfalls are the main cause, have we gained or lost anything by streamlining?
Well, we think that effective streamlining, the kind of early collaboration that we've all been talking about, the kind of programmatic reviews that are in the legislation, there are things that are effective in making sure that agencies are leveraging their resources and getting through the process faster. I think there are some other parts of streamlining which cannot address the funding shortfall issues.
Thank you. Director Ash, is the sequester affecting your ability to do NEPA reviews in an efficient and timely manner?
Senator, as a result of general budget reductions and exacerbated by the sequester, I have 500 fewer employees today than I had 18 months ago. This time next year, it'll be 800 fewer employees than I had 2 years ago. And people in the field to build cooperative and trust-based relationships is a significant liability in terms of getting our work done, getting it done promptly, getting it done well.
And Director Ash, in your opinion, is the review process broken, or do we just lack the resources? Will a deadline help overcome that?
I don't believe the process is broken. I believe that, as Deputy Secretary Porcari mentioned and Chair Sutley has mentioned, the innovations like the RRT at the federal level are bringing people together so that we can share common objectives and we can build common objective. And I think that's the key to delivering projects. And we need skilled people. We need liaisons between federal agencies. We're learning these lessons. We're putting them all to work. And that's why I really believe that the notion that somehow environmental review is the enemy here, I think is wrong. I think good environmental review supports the development of projects that can be delivered and can be delivered on time. It's when we ignore those things or try to rush through them that I think in the long run, we cause delay.
And I recognize we're still early in the implementation stage, but how do you anticipate the fines having impacts on your planning and budgeting?
Honestly, I don't know how to plan for them in terms of budgeting because we haven't seen implementation of the provision. But I really believe in my heart of hearts that the Fish and Wildlife Service will never see a penalty under these provisions, because if we're faced with a hard deadline that we can't meet and we're going to face a penalty, then we're going to say no. That'll be our default position would be, well, if you want a quick answer, then the quick answer is not one that you're going to want to hear. And so when we're dealing with these kind of complex projects, it is time and again, people who have relationships, trust-based relationships that can get us through this.
Ms. Sutley, do you have any concerns the reviews are less thorough, complete, or impactful because of the provisions in MAP 21?
I think that, as Mr. Ash said, the concern is that with those kinds of deadlines, if a deadline is looming, the natural response, I think, would be to cut the review off and get to a no answer. I think we've seen over the life of NEPA and other environmental statutes that the kind of working together, the kind of collaboration, the transparency and public input surfaces issues that need to be addressed, and that when you successfully address those, you can reduce the time and the litigation risk associated with projects so they can move forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.